Hello everyone, thanks for waiting. I hope you liked watching the first episode of Storytellers today. It's a thrill to have it finally out. I'm absolutely delighted. So what I'm going to do today is draw some of our characters, and then if you want to give me some suggestions in the chat, which I can see right here, you're welcome to, and we'll draw along with those. It's good to be streaming, it's good to be doing this, it's good to be drawing. I've seen some amazing characters that have been sent in to us the whole time throughout this series when we were making it. And that's the best thing for me is to see all of your incredible designs. So keep those coming in. There's nothing better for me than to see people drawing. So hello to everyone around the world. Hello Sugar Gun, hello Gary, hello Tooth, hello Artist of Shield. Welcome on in. Will we get started drawing? Let's do it. Okay. So in today's episode, we drew a character called Elisa. Some of the ideas behind what we're doing in Storytellers 2 is we're going to go around all of the different styles of drawing. Just as I can see in the chat there, Hugo's asking for a chibi style Gambit. We actually have some chibi style characters in it. Elite is a character that's from the golden age of comic books. It's I guess it's the style that I'm most known for. And we definitely wanted to cover this kind of drawing in the show. We've it broken down into I guess a simpler way in the cartoon, but there's always ways and means to take your drawings up to other levels and make it more, involved in what you can draw. Next up after Elite, we're going to have Stream Samurai, which is a manga inspired character. And it's one of the feedback that I was able to get from seeing all of your art is the amount of people that love to draw in the anime and the manga style. It's taking over the world, something that really, really is. So it's amazing to see. Hey everyone, I can see all of the chat. Then we'll have Sparkles, who is our chibi style character. It's probably the easiest to draw in a fun way, but then when a character is easy to draw, you can really push the kinds of expressions and things like that. So you know what, Hugo, I think your request of a chibi style Marvel character might be something very, very cool to draw. We've Glorbo then, who's going to be a sci-fi style character. And then we've got Retrobot, who is a robotic style character. But before we start, I'm going to show you a little bit of my work, where I'm known from, all of the different types of stuff that I do. Someone is asking for the white suit Spider-Man 2099. So if you don't know me, I guess I am known from working on Spider-Man. I'll show you here. This is a character, Spider-Man 2099, who's obviously become very popular this year with Spider-Verse. What you can see here in the black and white line art, that's typically the stuff that I do for my comics. And then it gets colored in by somebody else. This is Miguel O'Hara, who is half Irish, which is awesome. So it was really cool to get to work on that Spider-Man. Wow, a lot of requests for the white suit 2099. We could do that, surely. Sure, of course. I've done lots of different characters in the Marvel Universe. A lot of Spider-Man. I have done... X-Men stuff actually quite recently, which is a lot of fun. So I saw somebody requesting a Gambit. I did about 5 years working on Spider-Man. And then most recently, for the last 5 years, I've started working on a bunch of Star Wars stuff. The most well-known would have been The Rise of Kylo Ren. I'm doing a lot of other kind of fun stuff now as well. This is an older Boba Fett cover too. So let's get drawing. We'll start with Elite. If you want to draw along, that's awesome. You will be able to watch this back immediately afterwards. Actually, I believe with YouTube right now, you can pause it immediately, which is awesome. So if you want to take your time in drawing, please do so. Feel free to pause it. You can catch back up with the live if you want to chat with us directly. You can watch this all at your own pace because everybody draws at their own pace. I genuinely think that drawing is something that you can keep getting better with practice and practice. So don't get frustrated if you can't draw along at the pace that I draw it. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw first in blue. If you can see the light blue lines here. And we'll just imagine that this is me drawing in pencil, okay? Everything that I draw in pencil is the stuff that I can erase nice and easily. And then usually I'll draw over that with ink, which is something that I would do with a pen, which is the permanent type of stuff that we do, okay? So we saw in today's episode, we drew Elite's face. I'm gonna take that same kind of drawing and I'm gonna show you how you can turn it around. What we did, just to show you quickly, is we drew an oval to draw a face map. We drew a line down in half about halfway horizontally and vertically, and that was the start for our drawing. This isn't what we're drawing now, but that helped us figure out where to place the eyes. We had a line for the nose and for the mouth. What we're going to do today is I'm going to take that and I'm going to turn that around, and we'll draw a picture of a leaf first. I'm going to show you how I'd break down a more complicated picture, and then we'll open it up to requests to see what else you want me to draw. So feel free to keep asking me things. Okay, right. Let's start by drawing an oval. Every time I draw something, I'll always break it down into simple shapes, okay? It's the most important thing with drawing. Drawing is a really hard thing to do. The head, the face is really hard to do. So we break it down into simple shapes to help us get better at it, to help us, you know, be able to comprehend this really difficult thing that we're drawing. Then I'll draw a line halfway down the center of the face, both horizontally and vertically, okay? But because we're going to turn this head around, instead of having this halfway line in the middle, I'm going to curve it over here and turn it around. So imagine if I had something like a football or a basketball is a really good one because it has the lines. If you were looking at a basketball straight on, you would see it like this, okay? But when you turn that basketball around, you can see this middle line would turn just like this. So it's a way of seeing that 3D volume as you turn it around. And this line here, you could imagine that's what I'm thinking of as the center line from the face. So our drawing today is going to be that little bit more difficult than what you saw in today's episode, but that's what drawing is all about. We're going to keep trying to progress and improve, okay? Then this line that we drew, we're going to go halfway between this point and the bottom of the face, okay? And I'm going to find that halfway point. I'm going to draw another line right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, divide it in half, and go along here. And this right here is our face map. This is our grid. This is how we're going to figure out where to place things like the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the mouth, okay? The way that we drew the eyes in the show today was a really nice, stylized, simplified version of it. And for those of you who couldn't see it, the way we did it was we just simply drew a line like this, a little semicircle. We drew a little bit of a circle underneath and then colored that in, okay? And then I'll erase a little bit of a highlight out from it. So I'm going to do the same thing again here. I'm going to put one here with my circle, color that in. Same over here, except this time, because the center of our head is here, we're moving these eyes over to the side, okay? I like to have that upper eyelid, which is this line, nice and thick. And then I'll always take an eraser and put in a little highlight like that, okay? Then we'll put a little semicircle here for the nose. And then we'll put a longer semicircle here for the mouth, okay? We call this in the show, I really like this term, a face map. It's a really good way to help figure out the different facial features in what is essentially a very complex thing to do. So if you look at my face right here compared to what we've drawn, there's so many different lines that you have to draw when you have the face, but imagine those lines now going through my eyes, nose, and mouth, just like this, okay? Another really brilliant thing with this is that it also, if I just get rid of these arrows here to make it clearer, the line for the eyes and for the nose, that's where you're going to put your ears. So put in a little semicircle to draw that there, okay? Hey Ben, hey Dennis, thanks for everything. Oh, you're at Cork Comic Expo. Awesome, brilliant. I'm so glad you were there. That was an awful lot of fun, definitely. Keep the suggestions coming in, by the way, and let us know where you're watching from, which is enjoyable too, because I know we obviously have a bunch of people from Ireland, but it'll be cool to see if people are watching us from around the world. I'm going to put in a little circle here for the nostril, okay? And those are our simple lines. With Elite then, we're going to draw in the hairline, and then I'm going to put the mask. The mask was a big part of the episode today. And the mask is obviously something which will accentuate the face. It's kind of a cool design that you really get to do when you're drawing superhero comics. It's one of my favorite things to draw, okay? So the hairline is where the hair starts. We can just do a nice straight line here, like this. A line down like this from South Carolina. Amazing. Wow. That is amazing. Must be quite early there. We'll draw a line down here for the side of the hair, and then one that will connect back to the ear like this. And that's our hairline. Okay? Nice and simple. Hey Stevie, what's going on? I'm going to put another little semicircle in here and a little circle to have our inner ear. All right? Another thing we did in today's episode is we gave our character a strong jawline, okay? So this part here, we want to have that straight. Instead of right now it's curved for Elite, we want to change it to straight lines to give Elite that classic superhero look that you would have known from the Golden Age. We mentioned the Golden Age in the show. For those of you that are in comics, you'll know that the Golden Age were the comics back when they originally made characters like Superman and Batman, when they first started coming out, and all of those kind of classical tricks and tips that they would have had for when they were drawing superheroes. And the square jaw was definitely one then. That has all changed now. Obviously, there's loads of different types of superheroes, but for Elite, it's just a kind of a trick that we have. Timmy would like to see us draw Bowser. That could be fun. Bowser is a complex character with loads of shapes, especially a lot of those characters that are designed for three-dimensional use, like they'll have, like Bowser's shell will have lots of like cool semicircles for the spikes that are on the back of them. Really, really fun character to draw. Some of those designs, they're really popular for a reason because they're so good. Okay, who's this character? This is Elite. So if you look down here, this character here was the brand new superhero from our first episode of Storytellers today. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lightly erase the stuff that we have, and on top of this I'm going to sketch in the mask, and the mask is something that's going to follow around the natural shape of the face. The first thing I'm going to draw are these eyebrows, and I'll draw them with these slightly curved rectangles like this, okay? Big, thick rectangles. And because it's going to be part of a superhero mask, I'm going to put these pointy triangles on either side here of the shape. So again, I'm trying to break something down into very, very simple shapes, okay? I drew a rectangle, a triangle, and another triangle onto it there like that, all right? Okay. So that same shape here. Okay. Do I watch do I watch South Park? No, I haven't seen it for a long time. But I really respect how, it's a show that shows you that anyone, if they believe in it, can create their own animations. And that's one of the really, really cool things nowadays, is that if you really want to make comics, if you want to make animations or anything like that, that it's becoming more and more accessible for you to be able to do it at home. Hello from Wicklow. Hello, Danny. Nieces and nephews are drawing along, copying Elite. That's amazing. Thank you. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a piece under the nose here, and then that is going to give us the bottom of our mask, which we're going to draw with these straight lines, okay? And then pointed lines down like this. We're going to make it kind of nice, sharp, and foreboding, because at the end of the day, this is a comic book superhero, so they're going to have kind of lots of sleek, cool lines on their costume, okay? So then we'll put another little arrow down like this. Here we go. Yeah, it is indeed. Thankfully, I'm well over that age, Charlie. Okay, so now we have our mask. We're going to add some detail to the hair, and we want Elite's hair to be a little bit curly. And we can break that down now and draw outside the line of our oval, because if this is the top of the head, your hair will grow on top of it, so it pops out that little bit further. Okay. Okay, and we'll follow that all the ways around. We're going to have plenty time to draw heroes. I do kind of in the time that we have, I would like to draw as much stuff as I could for you. So keep those suggestions coming. We've got a few lined up already. So love to see Firefight brought to light. That is a character. I'm not sure I know who it is, Lawrence. Hi, Alex. Firefight. Which character is this? And what show are they from? Okay. I put in a little... Okay, so now I'm starting to add the little details. Once you have all of your sketches in place, everything on top of that then is just fun. These are the embellishments that you put in. But I have all of the important elements of Elite here. This is the penciling stage that we do. How long will we be here? I will be here, Gary, until 5:30, so another 45 minutes. Garfield, now that's a character I have not drawn in a long time. But you know what could be a really fun exercise, David, is finding the simple shapes that are there in Garfield, breaking it down and seeing how we draw the character. You can test me live. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'll draw on the neck, which, as we said in the show, we want to make it nice and thick, okay? And at either side of Elite has his cape. I'm just going to like show that kind of billowing up with these like simple lines here, okay? All of this is what I do when I'm penciling. I'll draw something first, and it's all of the stuff that I'm able to ink over, okay? So I lightly erase it. I would take up my eraser. I would like slightly erase. You don't have to do this. You know, you can draw along with pencil as well, but it's where I can figure out things. It's most importantly, it's when I'm allowed to make my mistakes. It's no problem making a mistake when you're drawing. It's really, really important for you to know that you can make mistakes and that I make mistakes. All artists make mistakes all of the time. That's what your eraser is for. Okay. But now I'm going to get into inking. I'm going to zoom in a little, which is what I can do here with this because it's quite small on my screen. And I'm going to start drawing in black all of these facial features and just kind of refining them a little bit more. I'm going to do this bit a little bit faster now. I'm going to put in, you know, another highlight here. Same over here. Remember, you don't have to do this bit if you don't want to. But I'm going to show you my approach for when this changes around. I'm doing some of the lines thicker than others. I'm doing the lines underneath the mask thicker, just to show that it has a little bit of volume. I'll do the same here under these eyebrow parts of the mask, which are actually gold parts of the mask that you can see in the show. Same over here. Okay. Just like this. Then we've put in little semicircles for the nose. For the mouth, you know what? I feel like that's a little bit too low down. And this is the beauty of when you draw something in pencil. I could put it up a little bit higher. Phoenix would like to see Princess Peach drawn. She's definitely a superhero. Okay, so I've moved that mouth up a little bit higher. And then I can just take out my eraser and erase the line that I had done with the pencil. And that feels a little bit better to me. And this is the kind of stuff that you can do when you can draw something in pencil first and then ink it. Then I'm going to put in a little kind of a semicircle shape here to add a little bit of shade that comes underneath the bottom lip like this, okay? Then I'm just going to refine these lines, redraw the jawline, redraw the ear, maybe put in little bits of extra detail if I feel like it as I'm going around. Same here for the top of the hair. Okay, drawing it down, connecting all of the lines, but the hard work, because I figured out where everything goes in pencil, all of the hard work is done by now. The Simpsons is on next. It's a great show. It is pretty cool for me to think that we are on around the same time as The Simpsons. Really, really is. Okay, and now I'm drawing another line in here. If you can see our drawing of Elite that's down here, some part of it is a dark black color, some part of it's a brown color. So that's kind of a thing that I'll do when I'm inking, is I'll fill in the black shadows before taking out my coloring pencils or coloring on the computer or whatever way it is when we're doing that. Okay, greetings from Dundrum. Great episode. Would love to see my take on Optimus Prime. Now that's a challenging character to draw. One of the cool things about Transformers is that there's a good bunch of Irish artists who are designing and working on Transformers all of the time. And Transformers are characters that, for me, I find them difficult because I haven't practiced them a lot, but I do know if I ever want to draw them, is the key is to find those simple shapes that they are compromised of. So somebody like Optimus Prime is going to have lots of details on their face, but I would build them up block by block the whole ways along. Okay, let's get the cape going with a little bit more detail. And we have our drawing of Elite, putting some little neck muscles, and then it's time to start drawing different characters. The next one I'm going to do, which was Hugo's suggestion, is a famous Marvel character called Gambit in a chibi style, which is going to be interesting. Chibi, if I have the arrow here, this character here, Sparkles, as I mentioned earlier, she's a chibi design. And usually what that means, it's actually a Japanese term, and really it's a very simplified version of the human face, which is really, really cool to draw because you can do some really, really fun expressions. And you know what? We have time to get into that now. I can draw Gambit. I'll put on all of Gambit's fun designs. This is a drawing I've done of Gambit before for Marvel. This was the cover. Obviously, it was a lot more detailed. If you look, you can see that I would have used the same method here. Let me lightly erase Gambit here, okay? And just show you over it that I would have done the oval, and I would have had my lines, and I would have figured out where to place the eyes, the nose, and the mouth by doing these face lines. Even when I'm doing something for Marvel, it's all about breaking down things into simple shapes, okay? So we always use it, okay? All right, let's take Elise, make him smaller, move over here, and I will get to drawing our chibi Gambit. Now, love Sparkle's design. She looks very friendly. You'll have to wait to see the episode because maybe she's got a temper problem. But that's one of the fun things to do with these characters when you're creating them, because sometimes you don't want them to be exactly how you see them or how they look. You want to have like a different kind of response to them. And one of the things about Storytellers that I enjoy the most is that it's about telling and creating stories as well. Okay. Right, we're going to start off with a slightly different shape this time. This one's more of a squircle. If you remember, if you've watched me back since the days of Homeschool Hub, in the very first one of those, the art class that I would have had, I showed you that halfway between a square and a circle is this character that's a squircle, okay? Alana would love to see Super Mario. Super Mario could be very, very fun to draw. Some great shapes and designs there for Mario. So halfway between it. So if you imagine it's like our square, but it's got like slightly rounded edges and curves as well. By combining the two, it's halfway between the two. And you'll have drawn those shapes so many times, it shouldn't be too hard to draw one of those. So, okay. Then imagine if I put a circle here, okay? That's your circle for the cheek. And then we'll curve that all the ways around. And this is the basis of the shape that we have for a chibi design, okay? So if you're drawing along, what you can see is I've made a complex shape. I've combined one shape to another and pieced them together, and then I can erase the lines that I don't need anymore, okay? We can still use things like the face map. No worries, thanks, Carrie. Cara from Kilkenny would love the Hulk. That would be a very, very fun thing to draw, definitely. Great character design. Lots of different things that you have to change from the human face. Hey, Milton. Hi, Kira. Hi, Attain. Can I draw a dragon? Dragons are brilliant to draw. So much fun things to draw as part of them. Keep the suggestions coming. I'll get through as many as I can, okay? So, what I'm going to do now, when we had a face map before, this is going to be a little bit different because our chibi style characters isn't going to have a face, okay? So if we draw a line through here, okay, just above where the cheeks are, that's where we're going to place our eyes. And the reason why it's just above where the cheeks are is one of my favorite things about a chibi drawing is that if you want them to kind of smile, You can imagine the cheek kind of goes around like this and cuts off that little bit of the eye. So it just gives a nice kind of a fun, happy expression with the eyes. I'm not sure we want to do that with Gambit yet, but we'll see, okay? No nose, okay? Our chibi style character isn't going to have a nose. The next thing, we're going to put in a smile. For Sparkles, we went very, very simple, just like this with a semicircle. I think I'm going to change this one a little bit because it's Gambit. We're going to give him a bit of a grimace, but we can really be expressive here. So I'm going to draw, imagine a long oval. Then I'm going to put in little bits of Gambit's teeth just like that, okay? And what this is, I'll draw it over here, is a straight line with your semicircles either side like this. Simon Hogan would love to see SpongeBob. Great idea. Ryan Stegman told me the least fun thing to draw is the interior of a baseball stadium and all the people watching. You know what? That's one of the things when we're drawing comics that kind of happens all of the time. The stories can go anywhere. You know, one page could just be, you know, let's say if I was drawing Spider-Man 2099, it might have been Miguel O'Hara inside in his apartment talking to himself, and it's quite easy to do those pages, whereas the next page then might be Spider-Man swinging through Times Square with a full cast of background characters crossing the road, cars going, all of these kind of things all of the time. And that's comics. Comics is difficult to do because you have to be able to draw everything, but this is the whole reason why I think it's so important to explain to people that breaking things down into simple shapes will help you to be able to draw everything. So let's take a little bit of a look at Gambit again. So we can see in my drawing of him here that he's got a mask that kind of goes around and comes in at the cheekbones like this and covers over the top just above the eyebrows. It's something that I'm well used to drawing, but if I wasn't sure, I'd have to kind of deconstruct it and figure it out. And what I would realize is that we can draw it with a nice straight line here above the eyebrows, a line down like this, and it's going to have to come in for the cheeks like this. And it probably wouldn't be seen from this side. Do you know what? I'll just test it out. Yeah, no, I think it's better to just have the cheek like that, okay? Hi, Fiddy. Hi, Milton. Fiddy is one of our awesome artists who has a character that comes to life in one of the shows. And if you watch the episode, there's a piece in each one where some of our characters, you can see the drawings that people sent into them, and then we redrew them for our show as well. So it's been amazing. And Fiddy's character is called Grasshopper. You can actually see that in her profile picture there, which is cool. For Gambit, Gambit has his hairline kind of coming up from here. Drawn all over my Marvel cover now. Coming up from this point here, and they come around in these big circular shapes, okay? And even in this detailed picture, I didn't go in there and draw every single line for the hair. What I did was I drew clumps like this. Big, long, curved triangles. We don't need to see every single strand of hair. We just need to see indications of them. And I think, personally, it looks nicer when you clump it together into these shapes for people to be able to see. Okay? So, right. So that's what I'm going to do here. And even in a more stylized. Roshin would like to see Bulbasaur from Pokemon. What an awesome character. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I would like to draw as many of them as I can for you. Okay, we don't need the top of Gambit's head anymore like this. But what we can do is we can take this point now again, and we can draw all of these nice big semicircles coming out from this point to indicate Gambit's hair. And I might even go a little crazy and have one kind of curve around over the top of the hair. These shapes are curved semicircles that come together in a point. So wide apart at the base, coming together at a point, and I'm curving them whatever way, just enough just to have them come around to all this part of the hair here. I think actually it might be kind of cool to have Gambit, to give him an ear. Just draw it with a circle popping out of there. Okay, and again, I would have drawn this in pencil. So I would lightly erase it. I take out my pen, and then see the way these lines are kind of, you know, kind of drawn with these lines that are like this that we all draw when we're drawing something at the start when we're not 100% sure how it goes. Well, if I was drawing this in pencil and paper, I'd probably turn the page around as I'm looking at it and try to redraw this with ink with a nice confident line then, just like this, okay? With my pen on top of my pencil, okay? But again, that's just the technique that we have to use when we're making comics. You use whatever tool you want, whatever tool you enjoy to use the best, because at the end of the day, they're the exact same skills, okay? Let me straighten them up for you so you can see. And here we go. We have our fun picture of Gambit. I'll put in a couple of other little things now just to finish this character off. I wish I could draw all my comics in this style. So we'll give him his little smiley eyes. We'll give him his grimace mouth, drawing over it, the teeth. And I'm going to put in some nice big blocky eyebrows and then a part of his coat going out like that. And there we go, a chibi style Gambit. That's definitely a new one for me. I'm going to show you here how this character, or this drawing of Gambit, isn't too much of a stretch then to change it to Mario, okay? Because Mario will have a lot of the same kind of... Mario, to me, is probably halfway between this design and this design. So who was it that asked for Mario? It's back up there in the chat. Yeah, Alana. So for Alana, I'm going to show you, if you've drawn this character, who's a quite simple version, this character who's a little bit more complex, Mario's somewhere in the middle, okay? So now I'm doing this from memory, but I've drawn a lot of Mario. I am going to do a circle like this to start off for the head, okay? All right. Do you mind us asking what software you use to draw? No, no problem. I use a software called Clip Studio, but anything that you can draw on is important. It's really, really important for me to explain to kids that these are just tools that you use. It's whatever you enjoy using the most. No worries, Hugo. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Okay, so this time Mario is a little bit different. The way I approach Mario, I don't necessarily use a face map because his features are really, really built around his big nose, and I can kind of use the nose as a starting point, okay? The nose kind of looks like a big circle like this, but I'm just going to just make it almost more like a squircle, the shape that we had for Gambit, just to give it that little bit more definition, okay? And right now we've put this round shape on top of our round ball, okay? And I'm trying to think of this in 3 dimensions, okay? And here then is when I would kind of sketch in that middle line from my face map, okay? Just to imagine it going all the ways around, and I can kind of do the same over here, and this will help me to have that form for the character, okay? Mario's eyes then are quite big, and they are quite towards the center of the face, and they are these big semicircles, or big circles, ovals, should I say? I'm forgetting my shapes. That will come up out of the eyes like this, but I'm curving those ovals back with the direction of this line that we drew. Squircle, new word, yeah. Absolutely, I'm very fond of that one. Let's trademark it. I'm going to put in another semicircle like this and another one on top of it, just to combine them together. We'll do the same here on either side, and those are Mario's eyebrows. And we're off to a great start now. We've got some great foundations for Mario's character. Mario, of course, really big defining feature, that mustache. That I'll add 2 semicircles to either side of the nose here, okay? Then I'm going to put 1 semicircle for the bottom of it here, and I know then from drawing them lots of times that I need 2 more semicircles either side like this to connect the rest of the mustache. And remember, I'm drawing this in pencil because this is where I can make all of my mistakes. So if I don't like a line, it's absolutely no problem to go back in there and to rejoin that up like this, okay? So his mouth is usually underneath the mustache or below it, but I'm just going to put in not actually his mouth, but a little shadow that's underneath his bottom lip again. A lot of the same techniques, see here? That same shape that's here is one that we can put over here. Okay. Then I'm going to change the bottom shape from a round one to add in a little cheek, a little chin, and another cheek like this, okay, for the bottom of the face. Okay. Mario's pupils, you actually draw them at the opposite side of the eyes towards the center when Mario is looking forward. They're very, very big. Same with the iris, which goes around it. The pupil is the dark circle. The iris is the colored circle. Goes all the ways around. Then you put in nice little highlights again, like that here, okay? Getting there. Gonna put in, if you remember, if we had our lines for the eye, which would be through the center of the eye, and the one for the nose, and that will tell us where to put the ear, which I'll draw with another circle like this. And we're getting there with Mario. The hardest part for me, though, of Mario is the hat. A hat is a very, very difficult thing to draw because essentially your hat needs to have a circular opening like this that the peak is going to come out of. That peak is often curved a little, and then you'll have the top two ridges like this, okay? So that's what I'm going to kind of think of. I'm going to think of that round shape that goes around the head here. I'm going to put in the peak of the cap like this, okay? And then we'll put up these two semicircles for the big volume of the top of the hat and the small one, okay? Then I'm going to draw a straight line down here for the side of the head because he doesn't actually have that full circular shape, okay? One of the last things then that will help define Mario is his big lock, which is drawn with two lines and two semicircles like this, okay? All right. Everybody doing okay with the drawings? If I'm going too fast, make sure to let me know. If there's anything in particular that you want me to find out or to show you, then that's fine too. I keep the questions coming. Going to go to inking now again, and I'm going to go over it nice and quickly for me. And just every little bit that I can refine here now, I'll do that as I'm drawing his mustache, as I'm cleaning up his eyes, pupils, the iris. This is actually, for me, the most enjoyable part because I really get to, you know, focus in on the details and draw them. I'm not really thinking too much anymore. I'm just kind of drawing the lines where all of the decisions are made. So it's a very, very enjoyable stage of the drawing for me. Line at the top of the hat. Color in the iris. If I was drawing something like this for Marvel or for whoever it was, let's just say Nintendo came along and wanted me to draw a Mario piece, I obviously would spend much, much longer in actually drawing them, okay? So don't worry about the speed that I'm doing these here. Let's give him a little ear over the other side, okay? No problem, Ben. I'm glad she is. I'm glad she is. That's what it's all about. Another little semicircle here for the bottom of the face. And another one that goes back up here to the ear, okay? Now we'll do the top of the hat, comes around here. Then we'll have a semicircle up like this. The top of the hat, I've forgotten his M, which is really, really important. Which we'll draw with these straight lines and a little bit of his hair at the back because he isn't one for a skin fade. And I'll color in his mustache. There you go, Mario. Mario is definitely a character I loved drawing loads of when I was younger, just because it's all about the skill to drawing Mario is finding those shapes, those simple shapes that he's comprised of. This one's from the top of my head. If I was looking at a picture then again, I'm sure you know, if there's little details that I have incorrect that I, you know, would be able to kind of tweak. Maybe his eyes are further apart or something like that. But once you kind of do it, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And because I've drawn him a few times, I'm able to do certain things from my head. If I hadn't, of course, it would take that bit longer to do it, okay? All right. Okay, next up, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the suggestions, and I'm going to show you a bit of more of an advanced thing that with regards to a character like Elite, who is in today's episode, and how I would go about drawing Elite's figure. I'm obviously not going to get the whole ways through it. Like if you see this drawing that we have of Elite here, the full figure, you know, that's, if I was like, this is kind of a cover level quality drawing, which takes, you know, a long time, and you'd redraw pieces over and over and over again. But I'm going to kind of break that down. I'm going to kind of take a look at the different pieces and parts of the character to do that. So I'm just going to find a new layer here. Okay, all right. So right beside it, I'm going to show you how I break down a figure. In fact, you know what? I'll go over the top of it because you should still be able to see Elite like this. I'll do it in a bright color, okay? Yeah. Actually, I'll keep the color on. Okay. So, zoom in on the face just to show you. We would have drawn a face map. Again, I know I keep going on about this, but it's such, I'll actually draw this in a dark color and you'll be able to see it better. It's such an important part of drawing. I do it every time I start, and if you can master this, you'll really, really be able to, you know, understand your drawings loads. You'll be able to draw complex faces from different angles. So as you can see here, this face is slightly tilted up, okay? So those lines are curved in this direction rather than being straight on. So, excuse me, and that's the real key. We can start to rotate that face map around when we do it nice and simply. And I know then from these lines curving down that these ears are a little bit lower than they would be, because when you raise up your face, you know, the nose will go up relative to the ears going down a little bit at the back, okay? Sonic next. Sonic is a great character. Keep the suggestions coming because I'll actually, I'm flying through time. Okay. I'm going to draw in what I kind of will break it down to here, okay? And the first thing I'll break it down into is a stick figure, okay? Okay. I'll draw a line for my shoulders like this, okay? And I'll put a line for the torso and a little triangle for the hips. And so many people say to me, I can't even draw a stick figure. Stick figures are actually really, really important. They're really important for the process of drawing your character, okay? For breaking it down, for figuring out the pose. And it has one of the best tricks that you can do to bring energy and movement to your character. So his knee comes out like this. You can't see it there with his with the cape at the front, but it will go all the ways down like that, and that's our stick figure for Elite. Okay, I'm going to show something here. Okay, beside it, if I drew a stick figure for a character like this, okay, and if I use straight lines, okay, I'll try to get the same pose that Elite had with those straight lines, like this. Okay, and over here for the hand. Up here for the raised fist, over here for the elbow, and like this, okay? But if I draw the same thing like I have over here with curves instead of straight lines, what this does is it starts to bring a lot of movement to our character. So you should be able to see already, see the way the arms are, see the way the torso is curved, all of that stuff. That will really, really help, okay? With movement and momentum. We actually have something in the new show that's called Will's Top Tips, which will have lots of these little bits of advice Little tips like this, they're all going to be on RTE's social media over the next little while. We're going to kind of release them as the show goes on. We always have a little section of these little 30-second tips. This to me is one of the biggest ones. It's having those little curves and it's breaking it down and having the figure like this, okay? So I know whenever I'm drawing a character, let's just say if it was Spider-Man or whoever it is, that I can draw my stick figure quickly because there's not too much detail in there. But most importantly, if I kind of curve all of the limbs like this, if it's a Spider-Man pose, you know, and he's holding onto his webs like this here, that I'm curving all of the different parts to make sure that that figure has nice movement and momentum, okay? The next thing that I do then is I'll block the character out. So we're getting a little bit more advanced in our tips here, but that's okay. And I'll use basically shapes, three-dimensional shapes to block out the volume of the character, okay? Slimer from Ghostbusters, that's a very, very cool suggestion because there's lots of fun shapes that we can do. Okay, so I'm going to use these cylindrical shapes. So a cylinder, think of like a can of, I don't know, a soft drink, whatever you call it, fizzy drink. That kind of a shape, a tin of beans. Okay, imagine that's our cylindrical shape, okay? And use that to block out all of the different parts of the arm, okay? I'm gonna lightly bring these other ones down a bit. But again, instead of having straight lines, I will always block out the character with these curved lines for each one, okay? Again, this is a little bit advanced stuff, but I kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit and just explain this stuff, which might not necessarily be in the show because it's more higher level comic book stuff, okay? So I am, even the torso, I'm thinking of a big curved shape for it, okay? These curved shapes will bring so much movement and momentum all the way through my figure. And while these are just little cylinders and little stickmen, the handy thing about these shapes is that they, you know, on their own then, you know, look at that. It's really, really starting to look like the shape of a figure. But the most important thing is our character has lots of movement. Hugo says, breaking down complex characters into simple shapes makes it so much easier to visualize. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's a really, really important thing to do. You know what? We have 12 minutes left. Time is flying. I kind of want to draw Slimer just for the reason of Slimer's a really, really fun character to draw, but we'll see how far I get. We'll see how many I can do. But a fun exercise, and I'm always going to bring this back to our characters. So in episode 7, we'll introduce this character, Glorbo. All episodes, by the way, are all available on RTÉ Player straight away right now, and the link will be in the description down below or in one of the comments. Okay. The idea behind Glorbo is that Glorbo is a character that comes from shapes that can all mesh and move around and twist. So you can have a lot of fun with the shapes, and you really, really can't draw anything wrong if you're drawing a character that has lots of, you know, slime, essentially, ectoplasm if it's Slimer. So we'll kind of keep that in mind when we're drawing Slimer here. Again, I'll be drawing Slimer off the top of my head. But one of the cool things is that, you know, when it's kind of this goopy stuff, you can't really make mistakes. So we're going to start with an oval. However, instead of drawing a normal oval, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to add that curve that we just talked about to the oval, okay? And I'm going to try and make it wider at the bottom because I'm going to really, really focus on adding movement to our piece, okay? All right? Just like this here. Okay, now look at the curve. I've put in little curves here and I've made it wider at the bottom. This feeds directly into one of our Will's top tips in the show, which is how much movement and momentum you can have with just, if you imagine a big sack of flour, how, you know, it can fold over. It can kind of flop all around the place. It can twist. I love this one. Because when you put a little circle on the top and you imagine this is the torso, This is how animators bring so much, character and life to characters like Mickey Mouse, to all these famous animated characters. They'd have big curves going right through the torso of the characters. We're loving all of the quests, by the way. The team have just told me that we might be able to do another live stream like this where we take a ton of more requests. Okay, so tune into rte.ie/kids for more updates if we can do another live stream. So that would be a lot of fun. Definitely. Okay, so 10 minutes. Deadlines, big part of being a comic book artist. Okay, again, I'm going to put a little line down the middle of it so I can understand the form of this shape. I kind of have it twisting around. Slimer is going to have a huge expressive mouth. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to draw, with this big, long, wide mouth that comes down like this, okay? All right. Underneath that mouth, because he's Slimer, that bottom lip shape is going to be there again, with a big long semicircle. Remember, you'll be able to watch all this back again, so I would absolutely love to see your drawings if you want to send them in to me, wherever it is. Now this bottom shape, okay, is going to push down the slime even more. We're going to want to make it kind of gloopy, droopy. I'm going to put in lots of little semicircles. Slimeries that got like ectoplasm everywhere, and just allow that shape to deform. And it's a real fun exercise to have shapes kind of go down like this. Does Slimer have a nose? Slimer does have a nose. And we were asked earlier to draw the Hulk, okay? So one of the cool things about drawing the Hulk, and this is going to apply to Slimer, is that when we draw a normal human face, okay, we have our face map. We have our eyes. Halfway down is our eyes. Halfway down again is our nose. Halfway down is our mouth. And that's where your eyes, your nose, and your mouth will be, okay? When it's the Hulk, one of the key things is that that nose line goes way up here. See, straight away that starts to look more like the Hulk character. And then obviously he's going to have a big wide neck. We're going to do the same thing with Slimer here. We're going to make sure that that nose is pushed right up to the eyes. So I'm going to have the line that I want for the eyes and the nose very, very close together. I'm going to put in a little bit of a nostril like this. I think he's got a full kind of a nose. It's been a while since I've seen Slimer. And then we're going to give him some really kind of big expressive eyes first. And then I'm going to cover one over with a big eyelid like this. And then we'll put the other one up here. Just kind of alternate the shapes that the eyebrows have. Of course, Slimer has hands, okay? So we are going to draw them in with nice long curves. Because they're made out of slime, we can really add more movement and momentum with these curves. So Killian asks, do you have any good tips for figuring out how long a character's limb is supposed to be? A lot of the time, I struggle with getting my character's proportions right. That's a brilliant question. It's something that a lot of people have trouble with. I would have done. Practice has definitely helped, but a really, really key thing to proportions, do I have them saved? Yep, is here. So it's this stage, this is where I'll figure that all out. So if I get a sense at the thumbnail stage, or the stickman phase, that limbs are too long or too short, then I really would, think about how it kind of move, the different proportions. I would feel if something was off at this stage, and I would tweak it here. Another really good tip, I can do this with a little click of a button right here, is I would mirror my image, okay? I'd kind of have it just going like this, either side. And when you mirror something, you can see if proportions are off that little bit better because you're not used to seeing the drawing. If you're looking at it the way that you always do, then it's not as easy to see a proportion mistake. So if you have a piece of paper, then you can kind of hold that up to the light and you can turn it around, and that's where you can see your mirrored version. Okay, we've got 5 minutes. Can I remember all of Slimer's features from the top of my head? Most importantly, can I find out the layer that he's drawn on? So Slimer has big cheekbones that will curve around like this. And that top part of his mouth here, actually we're going to kind of give him a bit more of a mischievous smile. We'll push up the cheekbones out here like that. The limbs are nice and long. We can even like indicate a little bit of an elbow or something like this here and draw in our hands. Who loves drawing hands? Hands are really, really difficult. But again, it's about breaking it down into the simple shapes. I like to think of hands as if I was drawing, you know, a more complex hand, I'd think of a big rectangle like this. And then I usually break down, I have an index finger and I'll couple together the last 3 fingers, these ones together into one shape like that here. Simple shapes, the key to everything when you're drawing. Slimers is a little bit easier again because Slimer's only going to have 3 index fingers. So I kind of put these 2 together and draw them out with semicircles. Now, one of the fun parts of Slimer, his teeth will go off in all kind of different angles. But it's a real kind of, you know, fun exercise, I guess, to draw them. It's quite creepy. I guess Slimer is meant to be creepy, I guess. But fun to draw when you draw them. But a tooth, the shape for a tooth, we're on speed drawing here, is a rectangle with a little curve on the bottom. Next to me, want the Slimer's tongue because he's, you know, kind of a fun character. So we'll have his tongue kind of trailing off in this direction. Now, one last tip before ink Slimer. So the tongue is pointing down in this direction. The slime is pointing down in this direction. I'm going to put more slime going all the way down like this. And this slime will act like a speed line. This is going to be in tomorrow's episode of Storytellers. One of the tips that we show is how to add superhero powers to your character. Might have even been in today's one. Actually, it's tomorrow's, yeah. Where you can have these little bits of, you know, we use speed lines in comics, but if a character like Slimer has slime falling off him, it's a perfect way to show that movement and momentum. We're going to give him his little pupils. I always like, as you know, to put a little highlight in there, and I would ink on top of that, you know. No problem, Leanne. I will always try to draw as many of these characters as I can, but I'm also conscious of time and drawing too fast as well. Remember as well then, so this is my ink stage, okay? Or my penciling stage. When I go to ink something, you know, I can add in more details. So I would lightly erase everything that I'm drawing and going back to inking, and I'll kind of be like, oh, okay, I like this drawing of Slimer. I think I'm going to add in a little bit more of a detail there with that little line that you have here. I know it's a cartoon character, but it's going to have some of these features. You know what? Maybe I'll do that here. I'm going to put in some more lines that will surround the shape that the mouth will make. Then I'll kind of have fun drawing out all of the rest of it. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. Can I finish inking Slimer in 2 minutes? A speed drawing challenge. For those of you that watched the show today, thank you so much. We hope you like it. It's basically the whole idea behind it is I really will always kind of put myself in my own shoes when I was younger, because I was someone who would have loved to have drawn superheroes for a living, drawn comics for a living, all that kind of stuff. And the whole idea behind it is just to kind of inspire that kind of drawing and let people know that absolutely everyone can do it. And that's very, very true about these kind of, you know, fun types of art jobs, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Everyone can kind of do this stuff now. If you're in Ireland, you know, hopefully we've proven to you that you can have all of these fun, amazing art jobs. There's all of these amazing cartoons that are being made out of here as well. There's so much creativity and fun here. And I get to see that a lot now with a lot of the drawings that people have been showing me and sending to me, whether it's at Comic-Cons, whether it's those hero designs that you would have sent in to me, that hopefully you'll all get to enjoy and see when they join our cast of characters in the show. Just basically, if you like drawing, at the very, very least, it is an absolutely awesome hobby to have. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be taking over from me and drawing Spider-Man, giving me a well-needed rest from all of my art. So we'll do a quick recap. Phineas found her character. That is amazing. Yeah, well, that's kind of what Slimer does. It's usually Peter Venkman. So we drew today. Let's go. Let's see if I can find the start. We drew a very, very quick version of Elise. I'm seeing now some mistakes in my drawing. You know, I have drawn this. I drew it quite fast. I made mistakes. I would have liked to have had his mouth up even higher, his nose up even higher. All of those different things. Okay, that's okay. With drawing, you learn, you can practice, you can improve all of the time. Everybody makes these mistakes. This was fun, a chibi style Gambit, something I wasn't expecting to draw today. And then halfway in between Gambit and this elite drawing is our drawing of Mario. We Slimer, and we broke down a lot of the kind of the simple shapes that we use to construct our character elite. So we have hit the hour mark. Unfortunately, I have to leave. Ryan says he loves Ghostbusters. That's almost. You'd love me to draw Spider-Man. You know what? Let's do it. Just for Milton. Very, very quickly, okay? So one of the real key tips to drawing Spider-Man, this will be the fastest drawing of Spider-Man ever, okay? Is when you have Spider-Man's eyes, okay, drawn in, which is 2 semicircles like this, okay? I promise I'm gonna stop now as soon as I have this done, okay? Is that the guide for Spider-Man's webs, I've drawn this 1,000 times, so I'm able to speed draw it, is that they'll always start from this point right here. And you have these little lines that go all the ways around Spider-Man's face in a radial pattern, all the ways around like this here, okay? And then we're gonna have these little semicircles that go all the ways around in a circular pattern around those webs from that center point, and that actually carries all the ways down to the bottom of the costume. I'm in trouble. I have gone over time, but that's okay because we got Spider-Man in there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. The next episode of Storytellers will be on tomorrow at 4 o'clock on RTE2. You can watch all of the episodes on RTÉ Player right now. If you want to have more streams, let the team at RTÉ know. Check out rte.ie/kids for more updates of if we're doing more of these, or there's going to be tons of drawing tips from Draw with Will that will go all the way through all of that. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching the show. Most importantly, for those of you who have been drawing along and sending me drawings, I really, really appreciate that. Nothing makes me happier. So that is the end